Thank you for joining us for our first reflection in our series, Together in Spirit. Though we will be apart from one another during this most holy week, let us be assured by our prayers for one another and continue to trust in the goodness of God.
A reading from the Holy Gospel of Matthew. When Jesus and the disciples drew near Jerusalem and came to Bethphage on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village opposite you, and immediately you will find an ass tethered and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them here to me. And if anyone should say anything to you, reply, 'The Master has need of them.' Then he will send them at once." This happened so that what had been spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled. "Say to daughter Zion, 'Behold, your king comes to you, meek and riding on an ass, and on a colt, the foal of a beast of burden.'" The disciples went and did as Jesus ordered them. They brought the ass and the colt and laid their cloaks over them, and he sat upon them. The very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches from the trees and strewed them on the road. The crowds preceding him and those following kept crying out and saying, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest." And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was shaken and asked, "Who is this?" And the crowds replied, "This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth of Galilee."
So Jesus, according to Matthew's account, is in control as he organizes in great detail his own entrance into Jerusalem in order to fulfill all the prophecies about the Messiah. By doing that, Jesus is proclaiming himself king, the Messiah, the one who's to come. Not a political hero who enters in a parade with a chariot and horses and guardsmen all around, but rather as a gentle, humble servant who rides in on a humble animal. As Jesus' entry moves on, the people throw their cloaks on the ground. Maybe that's an early version of laying down the red carpet to welcome important people. But the disciples and the crowds are hopeful. They see Jesus as an earthly king who would defeat the oppressive Roman Empire. Their vision of him was limited by their own needs, their hopes and desires. They didn't understand that Jesus had come to triumph over a much greater enemy than Rome. Throughout his ministry, Jesus had been the compassionate voice for the poor, the marginal, and those who were oppressed or treated unjustly in any way. And in the process of doing that, he aggravated the authorities, both the religious and political authorities, pointing out their injustices. He knows now they want him dead. So why would he come to Jerusalem? And why with such a flair? It seems puzzling to enter the arena of your own execution in the midst of songs and acclamations. And the crowd asked, "Who is this person? Who is he?" This is an important question for us to answer as well. And how we answer that question matters. Not because it decides anything about who Jesus is, but because it decides everything about us. Jesus could have avoided coming to Jerusalem. He could have compromised and settled for survival. But the passion that's in him is greater than his need for security and survival. his ardent love insists that he face the ultimate test of love, the cross. So in the end, the cross comes as no surprise. It's the penalty for making a habit of such extravagant love and pastoral care. Jesus entering Jerusalem amid plans and hosannas, amid palms and hosannas, is a revolutionary fighting for his people, even unto death, willing to die for his cause. In our liturgies, the church throughout the year has us physically reenact only two gospels. The Holy Thursday, washing of feet, and this gospel, the triumphal entrance into Jerusalem. Why? Because the words alone don't say enough. We need to do it to believe the love inherent in both of them. We need to feel the humbling that comes from someone washing our feet and to washing others. And we need to march with Jesus in a crowd, singing Hosanna and holding our palms, to understand that this triumph was not really riding the colt and ass. It was his humbling commitment to love, no matter what the price would be. It was the courage and love he had inside himself. We need to walk along with others to tell everyone we believe. We're on his side. We know who he is, and we believe in his passion. This year, we can't reenact these two gospels. This year, a tiny microbe called the coronavirus changed everything. So it's up to us to find a way to reenact it, to walk the road of peace and justice with Jesus, to reenact in some way his courage, to find a way to remember the death of Jesus, not as an arbitrary, heedless act of violence, but as a supreme act of love. The love of one who did not cling to equality with God, but emptied himself, becoming one of us. Find out who this Jesus is. Be with the passionate Jesus who loves you. This is the real heart of the Passion story. Everything else is simply commentary.